The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We're on Love 99.5 FM. We're on a number of affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We're on Amenuveve FM in Aflao. We're on Dreams FM in Bogatanga, Radio Max in Takrade, Radio Y in Ganga FM in Jirapa. We're on Twitter Spaces. We're on Facebook, myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, lawyers for Charles Bisu urge High Court to compel the OSP to release documents forming basis of decision to investigate him. Plus, former MP for Manson Kwanta sues Professor Frimpong Boateng seeking 2.5 million cedis in damages over claims in the professor's report to the Chief of Staff that he uses influence as board member of the Minerals Commission to allocate concessions for illegal mining. We have details of that, and Chief Justice Gertrude Tokoni formally takes office today.
I, Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokonu, having been appointed Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, do in the name of the Almighty God swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
President Akufo-Addo is counting on her to be fair and just in the administration of justice.
She has clearly a full grasp of the intricacies of judicial administration. I have no doubt that Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu will be an effective leader of the judiciary and be a worthy successor to Chief Justice Enini Yeboah.
This afternoon, Electricity Company of Ghana's revenue rise from 450 million cedis to over 1 billion a month following the adoption of measures to block the siphoning of money by some staff at the entity.
We have seen a major flagging of leakage at ECC because there was a test taking place there.
And as Vice President Dr. Bawumia recounts over 100 achievements by the NPP government, former President Mahama describes it as a wasted 7 years.
It has been 7 years of corruption, 7 years of waste, 7 years of arrogance, 7 years of impunity, and 7 years of nepotism.
We have sports.
Midday target making CAF Champions League headlines after winning their first Ghana Premier League title.
That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
And after 66 years of borrowing 17 IMF bailouts, we ask, is Ghana capable of managing its debt?
The problem is that historically, we always hit a roadblock where we just have to go and beg our creditors to forgive us.
We have that and more, plus the latest from the National Science and Maths Quiz here on the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu. Please stay on for details. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Many thanks for choosing us. In our very first story for this afternoon, lawyers for Secretary of Defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, are demanding copies of documents forming the basis of the decision by the Office of the Special Prosecutor to investigate him. Lead counsel Nana Jewa told the High Court he is unable to move the motion, asking the court to restrain the OSP unless he receives the documents. Lawyers for the Office of the Special Prosecutor, led by Dr. Isidore Tufo, however, disagreed with this view. Dr. Tufo insisted there is no relationship between the said document Mr. Bisu is requesting and the motion for injunction. Well, this legal battle is in respect of investigations conducted by the OSP on the back of the documentary Galamsey Fraud, published by Anas Arimiyaw Anas. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Akable is there for us. He joins us with details. Joseph, we understand an article published by the former Special Prosecutor Martin Amidu came up during the legal arguments. Let's talk about it.
Yes, in fact, according to Nane Jewa, who represents Charles Bisu, he makes the point that it is that article that drew the attention to the fact that a petition has been filed by someone asking the special prosecutor to investigate Charles Bisu. The information we are taking is to the effect that that petition may have been altered by the current special prosecutor, T.C. Ejabin. And so they are asking for a copy of that petition. You recall Mr. Ejabin was an access lawyer while in private practice. And so Mr. Uwa believes that having access to that particular petition would inform his argument in terms of the request for the court to restrain the special prosecutor from continuing with its investigation or prosecution of Charles Bisu.
And what was the OSP's response to this?
Dr. Isidore Tufo, who represented the Office of Special Prosecutor, disagreed with this view. he made the point that as far as December, when they filed this particular case, they don't make any reference to any such petition or any such request for that petition. And so he says, if after filing their case, they have for some strange reasons discovered the existence or possible existence of such a petition, they know the right thing to do, possibly amend their case and not to come around and seek to ask the courts to halt all proceedings until they get access to the particular documents. Justice Olivia, also is hearing this particular matter, made the point that as far as she's concerned, she does not think that they not having access to that petition means that the motion for injunction cannot be moved, and that she would only adjourn the case because lead counsel for Mr. Bisu had indicated that he's unwell. And so the expectation is that when the court comes back on July 4, they should be ready to deal with the issues of the injunction and not necessarily wait for having access to that particular document before they can do so.
Okay, but Blay, the issue about Mr. Bisu in court today and being unwell, we're seeing on the official Twitter page of the Office of the Special Prosecutor saying that we are told he could not stand and talk. What exactly did his lawyers say about his absence in court?
In fact, the lawyers did not offer an explanation to the court specifically of why Charles Bisu was absent. The explanation they offered was in respect of the lead counsel for Charles Bisu, that is Nane Jewa, who they indicated was unwell. But Mr. Bisu was not in court, and in fact, it's fair to state that since this particular case commenced, so far the number of times that I have been to the courtroom, he has not attended any of the court hearings.
But we know the OSP is looking for Mr. Bisu in respect of a different investigation. I'm sure we can briefly talk about that.
Yes, and so that has to do with the activities of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining as a whole. It is that investigation that has resulted in the Office of Special Prosecutor arresting and granting bail to the chairman of the committee, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. We understand that Charles Bisu is also a person of interest, but we know that his lawyers have initiated some legal processes to halt that particular investigation in respect of Charles Bisu.
Okay, that's our legal affairs correspondent, Joseph Akable. He has more on myjoyonline.com. While in a related development, the former member of parliament for Mansum Kwanta, Albert Kwam, has sued Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, seeking 2.5 million cedis in damages. Professor Frimpong Boateng, in his report to the Chief of Staff, alleged Albert Kwam uses influence as a board member of the Minerals Commission to sell concessions for illegal mining activities. Well, thankfully, his lawyer, Ignatius Kutwe Champon, joins us on the line. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. Let's talk about the basis for this particular suit against Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng exactly. Hello, Mr. Champon. Okay, it appears that we've just lost Mr. Ignatius Kutwe Champong there on the phone, but we'll work the lines and bring him back. And it's about that particular report, the Chief of Staff alleging that Mr. Albert Kwam uses influence as board member of the Minerals Commission to sell concessions for illegal mining activities. Thankfully, Ignatius Kutwe Champong joins us. He's lawyer for Albert Kwam. Thank you so much for your time here on the Midday News once again. So I was asking earlier about the particular basis for this suit against Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners. Yes, we have brought a defamatory suit against Professor Frimpong Boateng in favor of Honorable Joseph Albert Kwam. Yes, we are of the humble view that whatever Professor had written against Professor Kwam in his report. That is the report based on the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. Yes. And we have the view that they are not true. They are baseless. We also have the view that he did not cross-check his facts. And therefore, he has disgraced Honorable Albert Kwam.
Well, but looking through the suit, as my colleague, legal affairs correspondent Joseph Akable has it, I see that there's no direct denial of the allegations against Mr. Albert Kwam in that particular suit that you're seeking 2.5 million cedis for.
If you take your time to read the entire rate and the statement of claim, you see that, or you notice that Honorable has denied everything that our respected professor has said or written about him.
So Mr. Albert Kwam did not use his influence as board member of the Minerals Commission to sell concessions for illegal mining activities. That's his denying.
Yes, we have indicated that he has even no concession and he has sold nothing, and therefore he did not use his influence or whatever to do that.
Okay. Mr. Kutwe Champong, we're grateful. That's Ignatius Kutwe Champong, his lawyer for Albert Kwam, the former member of parliament for Manso in Kwanta. Meanwhile, the special prosecutor, Kisei Jabing, has hinted that more than 100 people are likely to be invited in the coming weeks following their dealings with the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. Well, this comes in the wake of reports of the arrest of former boss of the IMCIM, Professor Frimpong Boateng, by the office of the special prosecutor, who indicated he feels victimized over his investigation. But speaking on Newsfile, Mr. Ejapin said so far scores of individuals have been called to assist an investigation over the stewardship of the Committee on Illegal Mining.
I told you that the numbers may run in the hundreds. I said that a few minutes ago. The numbers may run in the hundreds, and so far those who have come before us are in the tens. So it is a list of people who are going to come one after the other. And you keep talking about arrest. Maybe I should go there. You keep talking about arrest. See, once again, the process is with us. We have full police powers. And people should notice this.
We'll stay a little longer on illegal activities because the Director of Communications of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Mate, has stated that the company has been compelled to switch from alum to polymer for water treatment due to galamsey activities. He explains that the turbidity levels in the water bodies have exceeded 10,000 NTU as a result of galamsey, rendering alum ineffective in the treatment process. He's been speaking on the probe.
Initially, we're using alum. In our population, but now the alum is now almost ineffective, and we are now using polymers. We are going beyond 10,000 NTU. I mean, averagely throughout the country, we are around 10,000 NTU, which is terrible. It also has some effect on our staff because we are using more dangerous chemicals now. They are breathing in these chemicals, and which has health implications for our staff.
That's Stanley Mate. He's the Communications Director of the Ghana Water Company Limited.
She has clearly a full grasp of the intricacies of
I, Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokonu, having been appointed Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, do in the name of the Almighty God swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
And President Akufo-Addo has sworn in Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu today at the Jubilee House following parliamentary approval of her nomination. President Akufo-Addo nominated Justice Tokonu in April 2023 to succeed Justice Kwesi Enini-Yeboah, who retired from the position on May 24. There's more in this report.
Justice Tokonu was called to the bar in 1986. She joined the High Court in 2004 and was elevated to the Court of Appeal in 2012. During this period, she was tasked to handle a number of the announced cases. These were cases the judges who were caught up in the judicial corruption scandal filed against the Judicial Committee. We can hear her express her opinion on corruption generally when she appeared before Parliament's vetting committee.
So it's prevalent social behavior, and we all have to discuss it and accept that it's not helpful, and we have to deal with it.
She was also asked about her views on how judges and lawyers dress in court. This is what she had to say.
But I do agree with you that when there's no air condition, when the air is not blowing properly, it's a difficult position to be in, wearing wig and gown and bib.
Yeah. So what's your view on them? Do you think it should stay or we should reform and move away from it?
I wish we could even wear African print rather than black suit.
Since joining the Supreme Court in 2019, she has participated in a number of cases which generated public interest. In the case of Michael Ankoma Nimfa versus James Jechi-Kwesen, she formed part of the Majority 5 that granted an injunction to stop the Member of Parliament from performing parliamentary duties.
We can go live to the Jubilee House where the swearing-in is taking place. President Akufo-Addo is counting on the new Chief Justice to be fair and just in the administration of the judiciary.
all three living presidents of the Republic have each had a hand in her judicial advancement. She has served as Vice Chair of the E-Justice Oversight and Implementation Committee, member of the Faculty and Governing Board of the Judicial Training Institute, Vice Chair of the Internship and Clerkship Committee of the Judiciary, Supervising Judge of the Commercial Division of the High Court, member and Chair of the E-Judgment Committee, member and Chair of the Publications and Editorial Committee of the Association of Magistrates and Judges of Ghana, and member and chair of various ad hoc committees needed for the smooth administration of the work of the Judicial Service. She has also been a member of the Law Reform Commission since 2016. She has clearly a full grasp of the intricacies of judicial administration. I have no doubt that Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu will be an effective leader of the judiciary, zealously defend its independence, constantly uphold its dignity, and be a worthy successor to Chief Justice Enini Yeboah.
Well, the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu says she will work to uplift the image of the judiciary.
Why are Ghanaians still feeling the pain and toll of inefficiency in delivery of court services? If the leaders of the judiciary have acknowledged that they owe Ghanaians a duty to remedy the inefficiencies, ineffectiveness of litigation, and taking strong steps to reduce the hard and tough terrain of doing business in Ghana, that comes from interminable court proceedings over investments in land, estate settlements, business transaction disputes. Why do these conditions persist? Your Excellency, it is easy to see why these problems persist. Despite the length of time of overhauling rules of court to allow deeper efficiency into court operations, the introduction of specialized courts, and the applications of technology, many courts continue to use the laborious, inefficient models of taking evidence in manuscript.
Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu. We focus on the energy sector now, and revenue collection by the Electricity Company of Ghana has moved from 450 million to over 1 billion cedis monthly following the adoption of measures to block siphoning of money by some staff at the entity. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia disclosed this and he took digitization of the company revenue collection to identify the culprits. Already 3 employees of ECG who allegedly conspired with the vendor to manipulate the software of the company, resulting in power theft totaling 1.2 million cedis of prepaid credits, are in court, charged with stealing and money laundering. Addressing members of the NPP in London, the Vice President said it is now difficult for staff to manipulate the system.
A lot of work by the FD and the board of ECT. We collaborated with them from my office. We sent in a team to look at their collections. And what has happened? We have seen a major plugging of leaks at ECT because there was a theft taking place there. And I don't mean small theft. I mean gargantuan theft that was taking place over there. Before we sent in the team, listen to this because I don't think anybody is aware of this statistic. Before we sent in the team, and why did I pick on ECG to push? Because when I looked at the data, there are monthly takings for almost 4 years was almost constant. Nothing was changing, even though more people were coming on the system. They were virtually constant. I said there must be something wrong. So let's take it a team. Anyway, the team went to cut a long story short and digitalize the process with a lot of problems. We even had to get national security to go in to push the process to make sure it happens. But we have been able to move ECG monthly collections from 450 million cedis to over 1 billion.
Well, Dr. Bawumia also announced that government has successfully implemented over 100 programs and projects since 2017. While some few kilometers from London, former President John Dramani Mahama also told an audience in Netherlands that the NPP has totally run down the economy.
It has been 7 years of corruption, 7 years of waste, 7 years of arrogance, 7 years of impunity, and 7 years of nepotism, 7 years of abuse of office, 7 years of human rights violation, and worst of all, 7 years of economic mismanagement. 7 years of economic reckless management of the economy has rendered our people broken and struggling from one day to the other just to survive. The Ghanaian economy is now classified amongst the worst managed in the world, and we're currently in the same basket as countries like Sri Lanka. Ghana, our beloved country. Ghana, Nkrumah's country. Inflation is at a record high, impacting the prices of essential goods and services and has escalating an already severe cost of living crisis. Our currency, the Ghanaian cedi, has suffered one of its steepest declines in decades, and a few months ago was considered one of the worst performing currencies in the world. Businesses are stressed and are being pushed to the brink, with quite a number of them left with no choice but to either fold up or relocate to our neighboring countries.
We'll stay a while longer on the economy because despite having huge debt cancellation a decade ago, Ghana still loses almost 30% of its annual revenue to payments on its external debt alone and is currently under a 17th IMF program hoping to salvage an age-old economic problem, debt crisis. In our latest Hotline documentary, Joy News' Isaac Kofi J. Minta takes us on a historical ride tracking Ghana's over 6 decades of ballooning public debt stock.
Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever.
Right from 1965, when Ghana first approached the IMF under the watch of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, one of the reasons we cited was debt unsustainability or ballooning public debt.
Since independence, a year has never gone by without Ghana's public debt burden generating news headlines.
The problem is that historically, we always hit a roadblock where we just have to go and beg our creditors to forgive us.
Ghana's dependence on commodity exports never ended, and as prices surged, this generated more willingness for lenders to give loans off the back of a growing economy.
We thought that we could borrow our way through debt, and here we are today as though we needed another epic like yesterday.
By 2015, Ghana's economy was in trouble, hobbled by widening current account and budget deficits, rampant inflation, and a depreciating currency.
We suffered some crises. The global financial crisis was one, which was 2000, 2008, 2009. The fiscal became a bit shaky, right? But we were confident that we could do it homegrown. But by the time we went to Sinchi and looked at the policies and the rest, we realized that it was going to be different. The development partners also decided that, they didn't think we could handle this problem ourselves. They look to the IMF, which is the lender of last resort.
A Nation That Begs, Part 1 is titled The Genesis. It airs tonight on the Joy News channel at 8:30 p.m. and all our social media platforms as well, put together by Isaac Kofi. You want to catch that. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM, also on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. We're on Twitter Spaces, we're on Facebook, we're on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is proudly sponsored by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. We'll take a quick break. We have sport when we return, and then it's time for National Science and Maths Quiz. We're heading to the Central Region. Please stay.
Imagine say water wake up at dawn. Both. Chop. When it vanish for your area for 2 weeks, you not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Hajia, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor gets water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank gets meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable,
with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water Tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's do sports.
Thank you very much, Emefa. And it's Midday who are set to begin preparations for next season's CAF Champions League after winning the Ghana Premier League title yesterday. They hammered Tamale City 3-0 in the final game of the season to clinch the trophy for the first time in their history. But the glory was not easily attained as the club had to part ways with David Duncan and Umar before appointing Evans Adote, who eventually led them to the ultimate. Now, Midiame's bankroller Moses Amapaka is keen to backing his coach in the transfer market to ensure that Midiama put up a strong performance in Africa's top club competition for the first time of asking.
This is how the one is. If you want good for yourself, there will be a lot of good and bad. Because the coaches, I was looking for a coach who make me win the cup title. It was not coming. So I will continue pushing. And it came to a point I said, no, let me go back to my coach. No, it's a revelation. Now we are going there. Look at the facility, $16.5 million. So we are going all out. We have to bring that gems for Ghana to be on top of the African competitions.
So that's Midiame's bankroller, Moses Amapaka. That's your spot.
Congratulations to Midiama. Now let's focus on our potholes. It's potholes exhibition, and highways are generally smooth in nature, serving as quick routes for drivers. But that's not the case of the highway from Kaneshi First Light all the way to Odoko Waterworks area, which has huge potholes or portions severely destroyed by mini swimming pools, stagnant water, bearing the semblance of creamy beverages, as well as the mother of all the devastation, potholes. In today's edition of Joy News Ghana's Potholes exhibition, my colleague Pakwesi Shandoff captures the deplorable spectacle which has become a headache for both drivers and commuters.
Creamy beverages always delight the tongue, but splashes of the ones on the streets of Accra do not satisfy drivers. Instead, it makes their tongues wag with complaints and endless frustrations.
The situation has persisted for the past 7 years. We've been pleading with authorities, but to no avail. Because of the poor nature of the road, a lot of people have actually lost their lives while crossing it.
But how do these creamy beverages end up on the streets in the first place? Potholes. They are served and produced by potholes, a menace on almost all the roads in the country.
Charlie, this one ain't no good, honestly. Every time in less than like 6 months, it gets back to, worse. It's really bad. This road original was very, very good. They came with a certain machine and then they just graded the whole road. And the thing was supposed to fix it some way, somehow. And that's what actually started this whole thing.
It's very bad. And this road, they do the road. I don't know the kind of things they are using to do the road.
The cars are not able to move freely here due to the gullies, creating a very awkward situation all the time.
I wonder why authorities can't fix the situation. As usual, they are waiting for a child of a high-profile person to die on the road before they get to work. Meanwhile, if the youth block the road in protest now, they will be questioned.
Just in the middle of the road at Odoko Waterworks is a more dire situation. A pool, not designed by nature, sits openly in the road, created by constant friction between car tires and the road.
The water is just destroying the road, creating manholes on the road. The water has also blocked the road, so we are pleading with authorities to promptly address the situation.
For the scores of road users who are not happy with the numerous potholes that have littered the stretch from Kaneshi First Light all the way to Odoko, their concern is that government must speedily intervene in order to avert the inconveniences that the situation normally poses for them. My name is Pakwesi Shandoff.
And that's the pothole situation here in Accra. If you think you've seen potholes, visit that area, Kaneshi Odoko Highway. Now, the Urban Roads Department in the Ashanti region has also commenced the patching of potholes at Bokrom in Oforikrom, two communities featured in the Joy News GH Potholes exhibition. While the Oforikrom and Bokrom roads were riddled with deep secular depressions, my colleague Love FM's Nanabuachi Yadom will later bring us more from that repair works. And just before we head out, National Science and Maths Quiz. And in a quest for glory and academic supremacy, the Central Region's NSMQ qualifiers ignite with 43 schools vying for 9 coveted slots in the Nationals, and will bring you all the exciting details from the Central Region. My colleague Michael Ashale is there for us, and also in the Upper West Region, Nanai Bwachi Iyadom also bring us more. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News. And if you were not at the Hits FM Aviation Social Center rep your jersey, you missed out big time. It was all full of fun and excitement. Thank you so much for being a part of it. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. We have Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil up next. Have a good afternoon.